Hey guys, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're gonna be reacting to Darth Sidious vs Magnus the Red by Dr. Splash. If you enjoyed this video, hit all those little buttons down below. Leave a comment if you enjoy it or if you want to react to something else. I will also leave the original video in the description and its content creator. Dr. Splash makes some good stuff and he's a pretty chill guy. So, without further ado, let's do this.
What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Dr. Splash. Now, this battle, it stems from comments I made in my Warhammer Imperium of Mankind versus the Empire, right?
Oh, I
In
didn't
which
know
I
that.
said some of the Primarchs, including Magnus the Red, would be very interesting to actually see.
Okay, I'm sorry I paused early, but I just don't get with those those titty udders. I thought I expect that something from Slanesh. Why Magnus? It would make sense. He would be like wearing like a dope robe, you know, like sort of like the changeling, but with more drip. But that's my opinion.
Have to go against the likes of Darth Sidious. A lot of you people wanted to see that. A lot of y'all didn't even know how some of these Primarchs get down. On the other side, some of you don't know how Sidious gets down. So I'm going to show you how both work. And after I break down both, we're going to decide who would win if these two were to match up.
Okay,
Now, without further ado, like, subscribe, join
be
the
sure
NT
you do
stream
that.
if you haven't already, and let's begin. So first up, let's talk about Darth Sidious. For the material we will be referencing for Sidious, we will be using all of Legends and Extended Universe
Oh,
because, quite
cool.
frankly, Disney canon's not nearly enough, okay? But
Yeah,
Sidious
it's
started
not.
off initially as this son of a politician who was discovered by a Dark Lord
Okay.
and was soon to be found to have perhaps the scariest, deepest natural connection to the dark side we had ever seen. After dirt napping his family, because it's all about the back door when you're a Sith Lord,
Yeah,
he would
Kylo,
eventually
for
go on
example.
to train under Darth Plagueis, secretly becoming both a political powerhouse within the galaxy, while secretly becoming the Dark Lord as well in training so that one day the Sith could indeed take over the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, eventually he would backdoor Darth Plagueis, as he's the backdoor goat, usurp him in power, and show off the might as the modern day era Sith Lord, right? As he
Yeah.
continued to build to the unknown minds of the rest of the Senate and the galaxy in
Holy
general,
shit.
eventually Sidious was indeed able to orchestrate a galactic takeover, the murder of thousands of Jedi, and taking over as Emperor Sidious after the Jedi tried to arrest him for secretly being the Dark Lord. He would then go on to commandeer the galaxy for years, eventually losing in a rebellion to the likes of Luke Skywalker, the chosen one, the real chosen one, should I say. But eventually, he would come back in Dark Empire, once again, nearly taking over the entire galaxy, as that was the strongest version we had ever seen of Sidious. Now, story aside, what was Sidious capable of that allowed him to do all this? Well, as arguably the strongest dark side user ever,
Yeah.
outside of maybe, a crate and a couple others. Sidious had a profound connection to the dark side of the Force. Now,
Almost
the
like
Force is
magic.
something that commandeers all of time and space and other aspects of
Really?
existence, such as the afterlife. As a
Oh.
result, we actually saw Sidious at one point when he died, literally went to the void of nothingness, even stripped you of your identity itself. And he survived it, endured it, and came back to be the Dark Lord once more. In terms of his powers and what he's capable of as a combatant, he is stylistically one of the greatest lightsaber combat duelists in galactic history. He's a master of all 7 forms of combat and has gone toe to toe against some of the most prestigious lightsaber users, including Mace Windu and Yoda.
Yeah.
And this is actually incredibly telling of his skill because he actually found the likes of lightsaber combat to be beneath him. He believed Sith Lords, in their true nature, should mostly rely upon the Force as their power, right? But he did practice it just to shit on the Jedi, and honestly, to like casually practice it just to shit on others and still be in the top 1%
Yeah,
is
that's
disgusting.
pretty
Okay, so
good.
in swordplay, Sidious is one of the most dangerous. In
What the
terms of his
fuck is that
powers,
profile
most
picture?
associated and affiliated with him from the Force, everything from psychic attacks, telekinesis,
Yeah,
high
okay,
grade
all your
force
basic
lightning. We've
stuff.
seen his force lightning in some depictions literally go over entire
Oh,
planets,
my dogs are going
but we've
crazy.
also seen it literally chase characters through portals, different timelines of time and space, right? That which is
Holy
ridiculous
shit!
for him to have
I
that
didn't
much
know he could do
control
that.
over his lightning. It almost becomes sentient at one point. He was capable of manipulating hyperspace, which resides above regular time and space and allows you to travel MFTL. He's able to
Wow.
create wormholes and force storms that shake the entirety of the galaxy.
So you gotta tell me, fucking Disney could have brought this like MCU villain type of stuff, but instead we just got an wrinkly old nutsack that shoot you fucking tasers. Like he just shooting some like some electricity at the dogs. Okay, good job, Disney.
His laugh shook the stars alone.
I'm
He
sorry,
is someone
what?
whose dark side influence and manipulation can literally manifest itself. He can break you almost instantly unless you have insane resistance and high tier willpower. He's most famous for his force chokes. Even doing so across the galaxy, he does not have to see you. He can sense incoming invasions of extreme degrees, including foreseeing potentially the Yuuzhan Vong invading even before they thought about invading him. Okay, he looked back at them when they were looking at him. Sidious is one of the most badass characters, nearly spun back again, and it takes all the Jedi to basically hold his soul down in the afterlife, where Sidious will indeed return. But is being the true Dark Lord of the Sith enough to take on the likes of Big Magnus the Red? Let's get into it, okay?
Oh, here we
So,
go.
to discuss Magnus the Red, I have to take a lot from novels. So, you'll see straight up like screenshots with novel excerpts as well as some of
Oh,
the
sorry.
regular material I was able to pull from different guidebooks and physical representations. Now, in short, Magnus the Red, aka the Crimson King, is the most powerful psyker of his kind.
He's
Now, the
like number two. Number one is
psychers are able to
the
use
Emperor.
mind powers, telepathy, high grade astral abilities to connect and influence things like the warp, which stands beyond time and space. It is a place where dreams can become reality. Metaphysics are a joke. It's
Yeah.
absurd the level of what the
Nothing
warp
and
can truly
everything can
represent,
be
right? And these
exist.
psychers can manipulate that, battle against it, and do crazy feats within that system.
Yeah.
None are more impressive, perhaps, than the Crimson King himself. This is someone who reacts to lasers, casually bodies lasers, but he also does these in both nano and picoseconds and uses them to vaporize other people. And he's able
Picoseconds.
to do so without even being present on the battlefield. He is similar to how like Sidious can kind of just look at you and start tearing you apart from the inside out, made most famous by Darth Vader. We've seen no different from Magnus the Red. In fact, it's stated he can just look at you and you will simply cease to exist. You will die.
Yeah, and it's surprising that Magnus always get his ass beaten all the time. Like I remember his battle against Lehman Russ. Like when people said that this shit was fucking like boring, I thought the battle was boring, but it wasn't. It was like you need to remember the context of like everything on why Magnus is getting shit on. So it's not a boring battle. It's just like what the fuck is going on? I want a simple, clean battle. I don't want no explanation. I mean, if you want to bring an explanation, then it needs to make sense or not like be so fucking long. I think that's what I want to see, but no, just psychers are in 40k are just fucking like just a plot device.
He can atomize you on every level with a mere look. He can
Yeah,
also destroy planets effortlessly.
he did that
His
to
mind
Vulcan
and body,
many
which this
times.
is important to note, is shielded by his psyker powers. So whenever you see something for him that scales in AP or attack potency or something of a grand effect, keep in mind his physicality and his mental defenses scale to this as well,
Yeah,
and also his soul or spiritual defenses. If you get into his mind, if you manage to mind hack him, as a defense, he actually as the works of Magnus states, keeps a maze of endless proportions and possibilities to essentially get you stuck. It literally has mind traps
Oh
as
shit! So
defense.
it's like the TARDIS from Doctor Who. When you go in and if you piss it off, it will create this infinity place where you cannot escape. So, ooh, that's scary.
Even while he was banished and mortally wounded, he can take out 9 Grey Knights as if they were nothing. With Grey Knights, honestly, having stats comparable to the likes of standard Jedi or even higher tier Jedi, right? Because these are beings that are taking on one of the strongest psychers in
I
existence.
mean, that's a
He can,
possibility.
Magnus the Red, it is stated, is so incredible in his perception and his gaze that he uses through the psyker that he can actually see his name being written down. He
Oh,
can
really?
actually possess the ability to understand the details and the history being written about it. In fact, if you were to mention his name anywhere in existence, it is theorized Magnus would know. By just winking the eye of his palm, he could grab whole spaceship fleets in orbit from the planet and crash them into each other. Okay, just taking massive ships from wherever he wants and doing what he wants with them like a puppet. His force field protected him from the Grey Knight's fleet's strongest weapon. The same fleet, of course, he had eradicated when he needed to, and these are
It is
weapons that
crazy
are
how he
supposed to be
always gets slapped
devastating in the
upon,
cosmic
and he
sense.
can do
His
all this
patterns and
shit.
designs and how he operates are actually abstract in nature, they're metaphysical in nature.
Yeah.
And his attacks can be so powerful that they cannot be contained in one universe. And you know, this was
What?
stated to be attacks that are needed to take out Grey Knights. So just to give you more perspective on how capable the Grey Knights were that he ran through.
Yeah, the Grey
In feats
Knights.
that were
Oh
designed as
god.
being entirely metaphysical in nature, the Crimson King also picked up and moved a whole planet from the warp and into real space. And it damaged the barrier between the two nearly irreparably, right? And not just this, within the warp, where we see Magnus can really let loose because he doesn't have to worry about creation or destroying his own people and things like that, or physical space, he has enough power to literally just shatter realities as he passes by with his mere will
Oh
and
my
thought power.
god.
He's also can make planets shake with the flicks of his hands. He can create entire concepts and worlds.
Dude, this sounds like fucking like some DC villain. Holy god. As a matter of fact, it sounded like something that fucking like a character from Dragon Ball would do as well. Like so it just the more I keep learning about Magnus and the capability, the more I was like, how the fuck do you lose all the time? Like it's straight up ridiculous. Like I watch Cal's video about Magnus and how he's like the second strongest Primarch, and he didn't give like much more into details about his power. I mean, the only powers he would that I could remember was that he could atomize you, he can warp reality, he can play with time stream, and I was like, "Oh God, this guy should won." But now that Doctor Splash is giving much more like a big like Christmas list on what Magnus can do, I was like, "How in God's green earth are you getting shit on?" Like, there's no way. Even if you do get fucking like nuff, you still could have fucking whooped some ass. Like. Holy God, that shit is ridiculous. But anyway, let's continue. Just a little rant I wanted
Which
to
would actually
throw
take
out.
form within philosophies of the lower levels of existence that we would see. He has, granted, before someone says, "Oh, are you saying like he scales all to the warp?" No, the warp is such an insane concept that we've actually seen Magnus get lost in the warp itself and have to be saved by the Emperor of Mankind. So he does have limits in terms of how strong and how capable he
He's not that
is
strong, but
capable of
Jesus.
manipulating the warp, right? He doesn't scale to all of it. We have seen that when he manipulates the warp and takes things that are not real and brings them into real space and does cataclysmic metaphysical work, we have actually seen it cause several warp storms that plagued the galaxy. Okay, similar in effect, if you haven't noticed, to what Sidious was doing with his force storms. And his actual name has an insane impact on the warp. This is a name that literally becomes a warp entity because of how insane
Really?
he is, okay? And keep in mind, the mind of a single thousand sun space marine is infinitely complex in nature. However, Magnus is far beyond that, which just goes to show how strong he is. He's considered stronger than most warp demons and monsters that come forth. He is one of the greatest denizens of the great ocean metaphysics, and he is someone that, unless you're one of the gods or one of the top tiers in his verse, and these are beings, of course, these warp entities beyond human contemplation and thoughts and philosophies, they don't really want to run down on Magnus. So now,
No,
we
but
have
for some
gotten this
reason
out of
they
the way,
do,
right?
and they
We
manage to
have
win.
gotten the fact that both characters are massive steppers.
Yeah.
So who do I think could win if these two were to go at it?
Well, my answer was like Magnus because of the shit that he could do, but learning more about Sidious and what he could do, then like, oh god, I think like I'm a bit conflicted on who could do it because Magnus lost himself in the warp, but Sidious didn't lose himself even after death. He didn't lose himself. He still continued. So yeah, I just say like I don't know. It's just like I go like for me like 40% of Darth Sidious and 50% of Magnus. That's my like thought like, but I don't know really.
So, first of all, I hope you guys are seeing and understanding how strong both characters are.
Oh
Both
yeah,
have
especially
dominated and
Sidious.
manipulated levels of reality far beyond their own, far beyond regular time and space. They have metaphysical acts they have committed.
They're so
They are
similar in a way.
absolutely brutal in nature. Both will have no issue tearing each other apart, which is why I fucking love this battle, okay? So how do I see it playing out? Well, as a duelist, as like let's say martial combat, I think this is very interesting, right? Space Marines,
Mm-hmm.
of course, have absurd training. Sidious has the training of tens of
Oh
thousands of years
no.
of.
Oh well, Sidious won this because Magnus is not a good duelist. Like it's been confirmed. Even the Lion himself, during the Sons of the Forest, when he was fighting this warp entity that was taking shape through his like brothers, and when he got hit by Magnus, he said, and I quote, "I knew you are a fraud, cause Magnus does not hit that hard." And I was, geez, that's fucked up. But if the lion himself says that Magnus is not a good duelist, then Sidious won because, as he explained it, Sidious is a good, hand to hand, not hand to hand, lightsaber, fighter, and he didn't need to like do it. He just did it, just to whip some ass. But yeah, I just feel like Sidious will win that.
Jedi and Sith that he has studied, accumulated, and absorbed, and it reflects in his own fighting style as one of the greatest duelists to ever
Yeah.
live. Now, in terms of hand-to-hand combat, martial combat, how do I see that going between him and the likes of Magnus? When it comes to swords play and standard weapon, I think this would be kind of negligent because both are going to end up using things beyond martial combat to
Yeah, they're
decide
just
who's
gonna
victory.
start,
If I had to favor one,
using
I
mumbo
would
jumbo.
say Sidious is probably a little more dangerous with his lightsaber force ability behind it and his dueling.
Mm-hmm.
He's going against, sword, laser guns, all these things. Technically, from a weapon standpoint, nothing too crazy that Sidious hasn't seen before. So just in terms of pure martial combat, even though I don't think it's what decides this battle,
Yeah.
probably lean Sidious. I mean, hand to hand though, like actual martial arts,
No, there
I'm
will be
going
nothing like that.
Magnus. But swords play and dueling in a martial setting
Yeah, Sidious will
probably
win that.
slightly favors Sidious, but I think it's up in the air. And if you see it differently, I don't really care. Now going on to gear, this is something Magnus obviously takes. Sidious
Oh,
isn't
for
pulling up with
sure.
anything except his nuts, his word, and his lightsaber. Okay, because he really doesn't need much else, and he never really has operated upon wearing other armor or anything like that. So I
Yeah.
give that to Magnus. Physicality, I'm going to have to give this to Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, he literally was designed to contain his power and be capable of existing with.
Yeah, there was another thing. He Magnus was well when the Emperor, was doing his plans, making a webway, and Magnus screwed everything up and wanted him to, become a living battery so that he could like, sort things out. But I'm thinking that's what he wanted it, in my opinion, when Magnus, did just punch through reality and let entire demon spill out in the webway. But I could be wrong, but I think that was the Emperor original goal. Wanted Magnus to redeem himself by using him as a battery. But that's my opinion. I don't think that was like what he really wants, but whatever.
His power. Meanwhile, Sidious is so powerful that his physical body sometimes actually fails him. He fails to
Yeah.
have a mortal vessel that can properly hold him. So I'm going to give the physicality to Magnus.
Okay, so I was right.
In terms
Magnus was
of
gonna win.
hacks and abilities, this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Sidious has a ton at his disposal as a dark side user, whether from mental manipulation to mind eraser to will domination to constant fatiguing of you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, force drain, force choking, force storms, lightning that's
There's so much
basically
shit.
sentient. He has
There's
this
so much shit
absurd
to give him the
amount of
edge.
powers that he can throw at Magnus. But this is where it gets a little spooky, right?
Yeah.
Magnus constantly has passive defense through his psyker abilities.
Yeah, that's the
That
thing.
should,
He
within
is
reason, scale to
dealt
everything
with
that
all that
Sidious would
shit.
throw at him. These two both have insane scaling, but I think Magnus has actually done crazier shit
Yeah.
through the warp, through the manipulation of the warp, and what he has done with metaphysical
Now,
acts,
the warp is
as
more
well as
dangerous
taking
than the
things from
force, in my
non-real to
opinion.
real, making philosophies and entire dreams become real, erasing realities with his presence as he's moving through.
Yeah.
Now, this is again a case of where both are absolutely brutal, but I think
Oh
in terms
yes.
of what Magnus does well, he does it at a higher level than what Sidious is capable of, and as a result, I think Magnus is too much for the likes of Sidious. I think Magnus the Red
It
would
would be
take
a
down Sidious
badass
even at his
battle.
best, due to his
But
abilities
Magnus
as a
will
psyker
100%
just
win.
being far beyond what I think ultimately Sidious would be able to bring as output in this battle.
Yeah.
It's too much. He gets overwhelmed. Eventually, Magnus the Red walks him down. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. The next progression for this would be Magnus the Red against either like Grandmaster Luke, who's way stronger, or maybe Abeloth, or all of Star Wars if you want to see him gauntlet all of it. Let me
Oh
know in the
shit,
comment
that would
section
be
down. But I
awesome.
had a ton of fun with this. I have more videos coming out. Make sure to stay tuned. Turn the
Mm-hmm.
notification bell on. And yeah, anyways, it's been your host, Dr. Splash. And remember, it's Yancey Street, bitches.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree with his opinion. For duelist skills, Sidious would win this because, well, he wasn't like he was just learning that just to whoop the Jedi's ass more. He could have, used the dark side to, do it, but instead he just take up some lessons on dueling, just to add more spice to it. But I really didn't know that Sidious had all this potential. Like, holy shit! I did. If you cannot see my face, but I was like, oh my god! I did not know he can do that. I knew he had like a good knowledge of the dark side, but I didn't know he was like this knowledgeable. But in the end of the day, yeah, Magnus win this. First of all, his entire existence, he was made to channel this type of like uncontrollable energy, unlike Sidious, because the Force can, wear down an opponent, but Magnus was built to, to deal with that. That doesn't mean he's immune to it. He just knows how to have a good resistance and understanding with it. And even though Sidious have a good understanding, I think he sometimes get all full of himself and think he could do anything, in my opinion. But yeah, I could see like all the shit that Sidious could like potentially do to his enemies, like he said, like weakening him through every state, physical, emotional, spiritual. Yeah, that's not gonna work with Magnus because he dealt the same shit. So yeah, I think Magnus will win this. It was pretty interesting. I highly recommend for you guys to watch his channel. He makes more videos. He made like anime videos, Marvel, DC, like so much cool shit. He even makes some like I believe he made some Lord of the Rings power level. I could be wrong, but yeah, thank you for so much for watching this. I will leave a link to his channel and the original video. If you like it, well, hit the like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.